welcome to Knit All the Things. My name is Laurel. I'm also known as West Maven on Instagram, Ravelry in here. If you're new, this is a space where I talk about all the things I'm knitting, all the things I want to knit, all things yarn, just all the things. And if you're returning, welcome back, knitting bestie. I can't wait to catch up with you. In this week's episode, we're going to be talking about my progress on my Hoarfrost sweater. This is a test knit for Rachel Illsley. She's also known as Unwind Knitwear. We're going to talk about other works in progress that I have, some of my reflections on 2023. Did I stick with some of the intentions that I had set at the beginning of the year? We're gonna find out. So grab your knitting, get cozy, and let's go. So let's talk about what I'm wearing today. I am wearing the Paleta Sweater. This is a pattern by Caitlin Hunter, and it was featured in Amirisu magazine, issue 17. This was their fall and winter of 2018. And it's a mix of colorwork stripes and mohair stripes. I used House of Alamode's fingering weight yarn in the color North Star, and then I used Spun Right Round fingering in the color Sugar Fairy, and then I used Ken Yarn's mohair mist in Baby Boy for the blue. And I believe in this pattern it is written for DK yarn and mohair, and so I did end up holding in this colorwork section fingering held double, and it was really one of my first sweaters that I did in this like mixed bases but also mixed weights. So it's definitely not perfect, and there's a lot that I would probably change and some things that I would consider changing even now, going back and changing. One of the things that I kind of struggle with in this sweater is this section right here. And that is because it does have short rows in the back, which does it does help keep the back up and this down. But because of the different weights and probably my intention in a lot of things, I actually knit the body of the sweater twice. I just kind of struggled with getting it how I wanted it. But I would probably try to repick this up and maybe even just like knit this part again, because it tends to want to like bunch right here, and that kind of bugs me. But this is kind of just my like fun. It's a little bit, it's like warmer than it looks, because even though it is pretty airy with the mohair, it's still a quite warm sweater. And I don't know, I always get like party vibes from this, don't ask me why. But yeah, so today while I'm filming, this is New Year's Eve day, and so I thought I'd just wear something a little bit more fancy, if you will, and just kind of showcase a sweater that I haven't worn on here yet. I do like this sweater a lot. I think it would be really stunning in like a monochromatic knit, and yeah, I definitely don't think it's perfect, but I do like it a lot still, and every time I see it, I'm still drawn to it. So I don't know, I've learned a lot about sweater making since I've made this, and just about how I make sweaters and how I like things to fit. So I do think I would do this a little bit differently. I would probably even pick a smaller size, because while this is how it's supposed to be, I think I could have, done a smaller size. Or just, I don't know. I wouldn't want this to be tighter through here, but maybe I would have cast on fewer underarm stitches and made just the whole body a little bit slimmer or something. I don't know. I'm not exactly sure exactly how I would have changed it, but I think I would have. But this again is Boylan Knitworks or Caitlin Hunter's sweater in Amirisu. I don't know if you can get this pattern as a single pattern, but this particular magazine has a lot of really beautiful patterns in it, and I absolutely love Aruna, or she's also known as Buku on Instagram. There's a really nice article about her in it. I have one of her knitting bags, and it is my absolute favorite. Hands down, my absolute favorite. Once I finish a project that I've been working out of that bag, I will put the new one in it. Like, it is always in use. I love it so much and would definitely get a second one. And yeah, I'm currently using it with my test knit, and I just really love this bag. And I really can't say enough. There's 3 pockets on the inside. There's 2 pockets on the outside. It's a really great size, and it has a drawstring, so you can really fit quite a bit of things in this bag. And I don't normally go like, oh, all these things, get them. But this is one that I really can't speak highly enough of. It really is a wonderful bag. So that's what I'm wearing. Let's talk about my test knit. You guys, look, I'm almost done. This is the Hoarfrost sweater, a pattern by Illsley. I have about, I don't know, half a sleeve left. I've made a lot of progress. I think today I'm actually gonna try and work on this because it is the last day of the year, and I kind of want this to be my final project of 2023. I'm so proud of this sweater. It really has been so fun to knit. I definitely probably would do maybe something a little different. I don't know yet. I don't want to jinx it yet. I want to block this to see how the final sweater lays and fits. I don't know. I added the mohair, and in the pattern it's just 2 fingering weights, but I added mohair. And I don't know that I would do that again. Not that it's bad, but I don't know yet. So we'll find out on that one. Once it's blocked, I think I'll get a better sense of how I like that. It just, because of the mohair and the color work, this part of the sweater is definitely much thicker. And then it quite a bit is different on the body and the sleeves, which is okay, but I think the mohair really bulks that up, and so it feels like a bigger difference rather than just the regular difference having color work and then a single thread of fingering. So I don't know, again, my full thoughts on that, but maybe I would change that. I really love the colors I picked. I love how bold this pattern is. Again, I think this is winter in a sweater. I used Magpie Fiber's Swanky sock in their color Back to Black and then Alloy, and then I held the mohair is a La Bien-Aimée mohair, which I do think was the right call because it is a thinner strand of mohair with almost, it's not as fluffy as some mohairs. And it's not that it's not fluffy, it's just almost built a little different. I think it has a higher silk content, and I feel like the pieces of mohair are a little bit longer. And so that offers, while it is fluffy, it has just a different sort of fluffiness. I don't think all mohairs are the same, and I really do love her mohair quite a bit. I've used it on so many things. But yeah, so that is my progress on this sweater. This has taken up a lot of my knitting time. I really thought I would do a lot of other things. Since I talked to you guys in the last 2 weeks, I have had just a house full of sick people, including myself, and I didn't knit as much as I thought. I don't know about you, but sometimes when I'm sick, I feel like knitting and kind of cozying down in. But this round of sickness, I was just so tired. I felt like all I could do was scroll on my phone. And I did a lot more spinning because it's so different in that knitting, I feel like I'm really having to pay attention somewhat more to my work. Whereas spinning, at least how I am learning it, which is probably not the right way and very self-taught, it's very by feel. And so I feel like while my mind can wander a little bit and I can focus on different aspects of it, I don't have that same level of concentration needed, which to me is kind of an odd thing to say because it is so new to me, where you would think knitting I would just be on autopilot. I'm really just not. So for whatever reason, when I was sick, I didn't do as much knitting as I had thought, but when I did, I mostly worked on this. And now I'm really just on the sleeve in plain stockinette, so I really don't have to pay attention as much. And maybe that was part of it. I was doing some of the color work on the sleeves and I really needed to like focus. So I'm really proud of how this is turning out. I think that I would definitely make another one. I think it would also be really pretty switched. So having the snowflakes and everything a darker color and having it on like a snowy background, I think would be really pretty. So that's kind of what I've mostly been working on. The other thing that I've been working on a little bit but didn't finish, and we had talked about last time, was my, I don't know if you can hear, but my puppy's making a little noise. He's having a dream. My son's hat. I'm kind of still on the fence of how I'm gonna finish this. I do think I'm going to do the Stockholm hat. Why can't I think of the crown? And I started out between a morning walk hat and a Stockholm hat. And how I really did that was I went down. Really the big difference is the crown and also the cast on edge. I did a tubular cast on and then I used a smaller needle for a few inches and then I switched to the pattern recommended needle so that once you put on the hat, it'll snugly fit. And I'm using La Bien-Aimé's Wensley worsted yarn in the colorway Lush. And I really, this color really makes me so happy. I really think that if you are a green fan, it's like the perfect green. And I really love it. I'm very excited to kind of finish up this sweater because there's a lot of things that I really want to be knitting on, but I really also get to a point in my knitting where I like to knit a few things at a time, but once something looks like it's almost done, I shift focus and like that's the thing that I work on. So some of my other knits have fallen by the wayside a little bit, but we're working on them. So the other one that I've been kind of slowly but surely working on is my White Mountains Light. And again, I'm really looking forward to focusing more attention on this. It is a Knitting for Olive mohair held double in the colorway Licorice. And the White Mountains Light is a raglan shaped pullover. It has really interesting shaping where you definitely have you're increasing stitches at different rates on your body and your sleeves in a very interesting way. So it really creates a beautiful raglan shaping, and it's really hard to see because it's black, but that's kind of, it'll look really nice, I think, once it's done. And I really, really want to wear it. So this will be taking up a lot more of my focus once I've finished the sweater behind me. And the White Mountains Light is a pattern by Midori Hirose. And yeah, I love her patterns. They may look a little intimidating when you first approach them. They're super easy. There's a lot of pages, but the reason for that, especially in this particular pattern, is that depending on your raglan shaping, she has kind of separated out. Size medium has its own page, etc. So even though there's a lot of pages in the pattern, it really is not that intimidating of a pattern for that. So that's all that I have been working on sweater-wise. We had talked a little bit about my hand spun the last time. This is my first ever like skein or ball of hand spun. And I had swatched it and got really excited with the idea of knitting something out of it. And now that I'm thinking about it, I think I'm going to approach this slightly differently than I have already. But I started this guy. It's the little happiness monster. And I already started to stuff him, but I'm actually glad that I paused here because I think I want to block him and then stuff him and then finish him. So I'll probably undo that later today and then block him just so that I can see how the yarn's going to like bloom a little bit and then go from there. But isn't he cute? He'll get little ears and a hat and arms and legs. But I think it's a nice way of like, I wanted just like something that I could set on a shelf to like remind myself of my first attempt, if you will. So yeah. So I thought that it might be a little interesting, and I'm going to do just like a quick little show and tell with this. But when I first started spinning, which is recent, I'm brand new, I really didn't have any sort of idea of where to start for fiber. And had I thought about this a little better, I probably would have purchased more fiber when I went to Flock Fiber Festival, but I really didn't because I didn't know this was going to be a thing. So I did purchase some fiber when I went to the Portland Sacred Sheep Festival. I got this from Port Fiber, and it is their Polworth Silk. And it's Sunset in Maine. I think this is really pretty. And I kind of just going to do a quick little show and tell because it's really hard for me to like see online sometimes. I don't get it. The fiber sometimes feels very like foreign to me. And so I thought I would show some of the ones that I've gotten over the last couple of weeks and just what I have in stash. So this was actually the one thing I purchased at Sacred Sheep that I was really excited for. I then purchased 2 other braids of fiber. Both are from Banshee Fiber Art Studio. I got a BFL. I don't think she has colorways, but I'm spinning this with my spindle, and I'm really enjoying it. I do want to say there is a lot of white fiber in this particular one, and I think had I understood this a little bit better, probably wouldn't have been one that I would have purchased, not because it's not pretty, but I kind of wonder when I go to apply it, it's going to be a lot of white. And now I'm kind of thinking I might end up applying it with another braid. And then from Banshee Fiber Art Studio, I also got this other gradient in Rambouillet, which I'm currently spinning on my electric wheel. And I really, really like it. It has like baby blues and pinks and a gold. And this one I'm almost done with. This one is about completely finished. And I'll apply that hopefully this. I purchased from Art and Alchemy a BFL braid. I think this one's really pretty. It has a lot of reds and lavenders and golds. And then she so kindly actually sent me an extra braid. This is her Aphrodite color, and this is her Cannabis color. This one has a little bit of red and orange in it. I think it's going to be really interesting and pretty. And I think I will probably use this to make something for one of my kids. So it's a kind of a fun, playful color. And then the only other one that I have is this from Woolfiend Fiber, and it is a BFL and silk. And this one is just stunning. And again, I think I'm really, obviously haven't made this yet or done anything with it, but I really loved how rich her colors are. And I would say everyone that I have purchased from, I've been so impressed how accurate the pictures to what I'm receiving is. I don't think anyone's has looked at all different. They really are great photographers, and I really, really am excited. This one, and I will link all the shops below, and this one's colorway is Dream of Me. So I thought I would just share some of those because I do think sometimes just seeing what other people are getting might be helpful. And I know for me, like even for yarn, it's really helpful. And a lot of these dyers also have yarn and whatnot in their shops. So it isn't just fiber. If you're not a spinner, definitely still go check them out because they do have some just beautiful, beautiful things in their shops. Okay, so that's my little show and tell with that. And I have been working on spinning as often as I can for the 100 days of spindle spinning and e-spinning that Drea Renee Knits, or Andrea Mowry, is leading, if you will. And I really do think the practice has probably jump-started more my skill. If I had just been on my own and kind of doing it whenever, I don't think that I would be feeling as confident as I currently do. And by confident, it doesn't mean that I'm spinning anything like fantastic. We really don't know because I don't really have anything else to show you on it. But I do think that it is definitely creating a nice practice. So for that, I'm very thankful that she has that going. So let's talk 2023, kind of a recap year in review. So at the beginning of the year, I had set some intentions for the year. I'm not really a great planner and I don't typically plan my knits ahead of time, meaning I don't have like an operating queue, if you will. I have a queue on Ravelry and it's kind of a joke because I just randomly stick stuff there for me to remember them, but not necessarily even knit them at all or necessarily need to knit them next. It's just to like keep them somewhere, which is not the way that works, but that's how I kind of use it, is just like a bookmark to like quickly reference and then I can think about it later. Because sometimes I think when I favorite something, I don't do anything with that knowledge and I never go back and look at it. So sometimes if something gets thrown in the queue, it's just to like, oh yeah, I was thinking about that. Anyway, so I don't necessarily have like a list of knits that are next for next year, but I think looking back at 2023, I wanted to make a cardigan, and I did. I made the champagne cardigan, and a lot of the knits that I'm gonna kind of reference, I'm going to go through and make a whole like what I made in 2023 video, but just to like talk about some of the intentions I had set. So I had wanted to make a cardigan, which I did end up doing. I wanted to test knit less or not at all. So I did end up test knitting this year, obviously, but I only did 3 test knits, and previous years I have done quite a bit more. And I think that 3 was a nice sweet spot. I don't know going into next year if I plan on test knitting at all. We'll see. It's not that I don't like test knitting. I actually really enjoy it because of the kind of community sense of knitting with other people, knitting the same thing. It's like a little knit along. I do like having a lot of leeway with my knits and not having any deadlines, because I tend to, if I commit to something, even like this test knit, I will feel that I need to do it, like finish it right away. This is not due for like 20 more days or something. Like I have quite a bit of time left on this and I could have like pushed it out, but in my mind, I commit to finishing something and I just want to get it done. I don't know what it is about me. I definitely haven't been as regimented this year with my test knits because I am only signing up for things that I feel has a very comfortable deadline for myself and that I know I can easily finish, and I'm not really like in any way stressed by getting it done, and I don't feel stressed by getting this done at all. This one actually, I just want to wear right away, and so I like want to hurry and get it done. But a lot of times I have that extra pressure on myself and I don't always need that. So I wanted to test knit less, which I feel like I did well on. The other thing this year that I wanted to be more intentional was with using more of my stash, or just like looking at my stash first before going to shop. And I did a lot of shopping from my stash and kind of reallocating some things that I had maybe planned for one thing and decided, you know what, this is perfect for the thing I want to knit right now. I'm going to just knit that. And if I ever needed to like replace that yarn, I definitely could. So less having like yarn 100% earmarked for something and just using it when I felt like it was calling to the project. The other kind of thing that I tried to do this year was just be more intentional with the colors that I wanted to knit. So, or rather black. I like, obviously, to me, this feels like very colorful, even though maybe it's toned down to some. I really, really love wearing a lot of black and darker colors in my everyday wardrobe. And so I felt that as much fun as it is to knit with bright and fun and neon and fun colors, I just don't wear those items as much. And so I really wanted to be intentional on knitting things that I definitely will wear. And the thing that happened with that this year is that I have been wearing way more of my knits because they are knit in colors that automatically go into my wardrobe and I feel very comfortable in and very confident in. And I am grabbing those pieces a lot more. And I think that says a lot, which I want to carry through next year, which may mean that I end up destashing some of the yarn that I have because it maybe isn't going to fit into that category of like, I will wear this color all the time. I really want to like take a hard look at what I have in my stash and like what I actually will be wearing versus won't be wearing. So that's the type of thing that I really want to be intentional with in my purchases. I really, really want to make sure that when I am spending money on yarn or fiber or whatever it is, that I am going to be using it. And I really want to feel comfortable in the colors that I'm choosing or the fibers that I'm choosing and just be very thoughtful on that. I still have a very large, to me, it feels like a large stash. I have a lot of sweater quantities of yarn, and therefore things that I absolutely want to wear and I'm very excited to make. And so I just want to be thinking that while I am in this space of like, what am I going to create next? I just want to be reminding myself that I want to be making things that I'm going to be wearing. And if it is yarn that I have that I'm just not, it's not my color, or maybe once I received the yarn, I was like, oh, that's not quite something I would wear, then I need to be like rehoming it, if you will. So I do think I will do a small destash at the beginning of the year or soon and try and like change some of my stash so that it really reflects like how I'm feeling. And I do think that part of when I'm purchasing yarns that I need to keep in mind is like my tastes change, and I'm sure your tastes, you know, have gone through their own process of changing. And if I keep buying giant sweater quantities of yarn in whatever colors that I'm maybe drawn to today, by the time that I get around to knitting it, unless I'm planning on casting that project on right now, like it just might not be my taste or something about it has changed. And so I'm really trying to approach some of my purchases in that way of like, am I gonna be like, am I purchasing this because it's like a great deal? Am I so in love with this I want to cast it on tomorrow? And if so, like, let's plan on that then instead of hoarding it back. So I do like having a healthy stash because I like to sign up for test knits and knit from my stash for those and not go shopping. It's kind of like a rule that I have for myself. But at the same time, I feel like I have that in my stash, so now I need to like rein it in a little bit. I'm not going on a no-buy thing next year or anything like that, but I do think always approaching purchases intentionally is a great idea. So that's all I kind of have to say about that. I'd love to hear about your knitting journey this year, how it went. Like, did you stick with the intentions you set at the beginning of the year? How did your queue shrink or grow? What you're excited most about making in the fall, in the next year, and all of that. So I know today's a little bit of a shorter episode, but I wanted to make sure that it happened because I really wanted to thank you all for becoming my knitting bestie. This being my first year of the channel, it's about almost a year anniversary in a couple of weeks. So I want to thank you for being here with me and being my knitting bestie and spending time with me every so often and commenting and liking and doing all the things that you guys have been doing. It's really meant a lot. So with that, thank you so much for being here. I do hope you have a beautiful year. Let's make next year magical with our knits and have a wonderful day. Till I see you again, happy knitting. Bye.